I would say being in the real world is
Right.
like, it was a big transition, but it's benefiting for me because I get to be around my daughter and my family as much as possible now. So
Why did you choose insurance? Any particular reason? You just fell into it, or
the crazy thing is, it's a long story. The only thing I could say is like, one night I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I prayed. I was like, "Hey God, I need like a sign. I need you to order my steps to try and figure out what I was going to do next." And literally the next day, I was speaking to this lady about trying to get a house, and she was saying how her ex-husband owned an insurance company and how I spoke so well and so proper. And she asked if I was interested, and I said, I'm not opposed to anything right now because I was still trying to figure out what was next. So, did an interview, and a month later, I was an insurance broker. So,
that's really deep, man. Because like you said, you were kind of led down this road. I mean, you didn't know what you were going to do, but somehow the big man decided, okay, I'm sending him down this road right here, just like he sent you down the road in your pro basketball career.
yeah, man. Because I always knew that I wanted to play basketball. I loved it. And, after a certain point in my life, when my uncle passed, that was really when I was like, okay, cool. I started figuring out stuff that he did with basketball. And I said, okay, I'm going to follow in his footsteps. But ultimately, I'm going to take it a step further. So, thankfully, I was able to do that.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Tyler was the center for Lake Marion High School when they won the state championship several years ago. He is a Utahville guy, and he is also a family member of mine as well. Uh,
Mhm.
so, Tyler, tell the first time I seen you, you were just a little boy, just a little bit past being a tot in your uncle's yard, bouncing the ball around. Uh,
Mhm.
I can't say that I knew at that moment that you were going to grow up to be 6'9" or 10 and be a pro basketball player. I just didn't have that foresight. When did you start liking basketball? And let's go right on up the chronological level. When did you start liking basketball?
um, I was young, man. Like, I'll never forget, like, my dad, he ended up getting this goal, and he hooked it up to the light posts in the back of the yard. And I was outside literally every day. Like, I think one of the first players that I actually watched and was, familiar with was Tracy McGrady. And this was, I think, like probably a couple weeks or months after he scored the 13 points in like what I think it was like 30 or 40, 33 or 40 seconds.
Right.
And I seen that video and I'm outside. The commentator was like, "McGrady for the win." And I'm just outside, just continue doing it. And then,
Wow.
of course, Ote, who is a real prominent figure in our community for what he did at Holly Hill Robertson, Lake Marion as well. I remember the last time I seen him in the state championship, like he shot a half court shot at the buzzer at halftime, and I was just out doing that, imitating that and stuff. And then, of course, like I just fell in love with it. It was something to do because I'm in the country, it's not much to do. It's
Right.
either go down the wrong path or the right path, and the right path was staying in the backyard, evidently. So, that's really what it was. It was from elementary school because my dad and my mom, they tried to make me do t-ball and baseball. I hated it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. My team won the championship, but I hated playing baseball. But I was so happy when basketball came around. Um, so yeah, so that's really where it stemmed from.
Tell me about the experience that you had at the middle school level. Did you play middle school ball at all?
Yeah, so the good thing about it was like during that time we had like little league community basketball,
Hmm.
and all my friends, basically everybody that played middle school, high school, we all knew each other because we all came from that same program.
Right.
And my little league coach was actually the B team coach, so he
Okay.
already knew who he had coming in, so we
Right.
already knew what we had to expect. So when I was playing middle school, it's the same guys I played with in little league. um I'll never forget, like it was me, Tyshawn Williams, Darius James, and Kesmond Myers and Jaquan Oliver. Like those were my guys then, and they still my guys now. We came up from middle school. won a championship together in high school, except Darius, he ended up stopping and pursued football. But middle school was a challenge because I'll never forget. We played against Bates, and Bates was
Hold on,
like,
hold on,
oh my,
hold on, hold on. Let me stop you right there. Base is a middle school, right?
yeah.
Base,
So they
right,
was in Sumter, and man, you thought I was tall. They had guys that was like 6'4", 6'3" in middle school dunking. And we ended up playing against Bates one time. We lost, and then we were supposed to play them in the playoffs, but we ended up losing to a school in Calhoun County, which was ultimately my fault, right?
right,
Like it was, we had made a comeback. I was supposed to take a shot at the end, but I ended up passing it because I wasn't confident in myself.
right.
And honestly, that moment shaped me for real. That's what actually catapulted me when I went to high school. It was a situation at high school that catapulted me when I got to college. Of course, college, the same thing to the pros, and
Well,
it's just one of those things.
I got to take a sidebar and tell you a little bit about. I got a story about Bates, and I played at Roberts High School. Me and your uncle Bernard, we were on this team
Hmm.
together, and we were playing Bates at 12 o'clock during a
Mm.
school day.
During the school day, it's crazy.
Tyler, the whole gym was there. The whole school was there, and that was I had a moment in that game that probably scarred me for life. Okay. And at the same token, your uncle had a moment that catapulted him to being a
Mm.
superstar in the school. Okay,
Hmm.
so I've got 0 points. I started at guard.
Hmm.
And I'm doing good, but I'm not scoring. Okay.
Uh-huh.
But now Bernard gets a rebound off the boards and throws it to me, and I'm headed down, just me and nobody else. Okay.
Mm.
Tyler, I got to that backboard and I clanged that thing off the backboard so hard it went back almost to half court. The crowd groaned. Oh, we won the game. Bernard
Uh-huh.
hit a shot at halftime,
Hmm.
nothing but net. But that trip home to Utahville that day was a hard trip. Those kids were on me. I ended up with 0 points. And the
Yeah.
only chance that I had to score was that moment, and I totally obliterated that moment.
You
So
blew it.
yeah, man. So you shouldn't have brought up Bates, man. Those are bad memories.
Hey man, you
Listen,
won the game. That's all that matter.
we won. We won. Well, the basketball tradition has always been there. Uh,
Hmm.
in that Utahville, Holly Hill, Santee area.
Yeah.
Bernard and I came up playing, you know, at people's house. On Sundays we played. Me,
Hmm.
him. You know Gerald Wright, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gerald Wright played on the Possum Town side with Dink.
Mm.
What's Dink's last name? Bryant. Dink Bryant.
I
Okay.
know you talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bernard. So they played against me, one of your other cousins, Hazeman Wright, and
Mm.
Willie Isaacs, who was going to be a big star at Holly Hill High School, the white school
Hmm.
then. And we battle almost every Sunday, man. I mean, it was, and we were winning. We were giving as good as we got, the town people, until
Hmm.
your uncle shot up. Till he shot up from like 6'1" to like 6'5". We had no wins then, bro. We never beat them again. Now tell me about your experience at Lake Marion High School.
Oh, Late Marion was cool, man. Uh, I was a big LeBron fan, still am.
Hmm.
And like I said, my five guys. It was me, Tada, Kids, Jaquan, Darius. I really named us like the Fab Five, like how LeBron was with his guys in high
Right,
school.
right, right.
And I always said that out of these five, I'm gonna be LeBron. And they really didn't pay it no mind, but like, other people wouldn't really, they'll be like, really? Because I mean, granted, when I was in ninth grade, like I didn't have that much confidence. I had the skills and it just needed to be polished.
Right.
So during that time, like one of my high school teachers, my gym teacher, Miss Jeannie Fogel, she'll tell you all the time. Every time when I used to come back to the school to visit her class, talk to her students, she'll always say, I watched him get better. So like, I always had a gym class each year.
Hmm.
So every day while I'm in gym class, I'm on the other side while everybody playing, and I'm just, working on stuff, doing this, doing that. I
Right.
had a lot of people in my ear saying, "Oh, you can't do this," or picking on me when I do certain things, and I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Watch, I'm gonna show you." So like, the first 2 years of high school was tough because I was playing JV and I was trying to figure out and maneuver because I'm just like my uncle. I was like, I think like 5'11" when I was
Right.
in middle school. When I got to ninth grade, I was like 6'2", and then
Really?
when I got to 10th grade that summer, I went from 6'2" to like 6'7".
Oh
So it
God.
was, yeah, so it was like just every summer I was just, sleeping, and then next thing you know, I just get out the bed, I'm a little taller. I didn't know I was getting taller until I got around my classmates. So like the growth spurt was crazy. And like my last 2 years, my junior year was a real good experience because I was with, basically a lot of people on that championship team
Right.
is the same guys that I've been with ever since Little League days.
Mhm.
And then of course my senior year was a movie. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like it just went so fast how everything went. And then I think that's when I started to see everything that I worked for, everything that I said I was gonna do and wanted to do. That's when I started to see it come into fruition. Cause like, ninth grade is when my uncle passed.
Right.
And when he passed, and then, hearing stories about what he did when he was in high school, how he went to college and how he played a year overseas. I was like, cool, I'm gonna play overseas just like he did. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like if NBA was an option, I probably would have did it, but I definitely would have did overseas for at least 1 year just because I want to do and experience exactly what he did. And it all worked out. Especially after he passed, like I just made sure that everything I did basketball related was dedicated to him. I won the slam dunk contest. All I kept saying was my Uncle Bernard, my Uncle Bernard. Um, College, Uncle Bernard had I had customized shoes with his name and number on it. That's actually when I changed to my number 33 because of him. I didn't want 23 anymore. And when I changed to 33 in college, I kept it for the rest of my career, college and professional. So
That topic about your uncle. In fact, I really can't even have it at this moment because I don't need to be crying on the radio.
yeah.
So I need to get past that. But he was a great friend of mine. Um, I watched him develop. I left South Carolina after the 10th grade, so I didn't get to see those last 2 years of him at the high school level. But
Hmm.
I heard the talk from down here. People will call and say, "Man, Bernard is, he's doing this, he's really doing that." And then over the years, when I started with the sports thing, I used to communicate with him and send him articles that I had written and all that. And we talked about you as well. Okay, we
Hmm.
knew that that was going to be something that was going to somehow impact basically our relationship long term. I mean,
Yeah.
like, so for you to be here on the radio with me today, I mean, I can't even describe it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it was preordained in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is years later, and now here you are. So tell us about when you first went over. Oh no, first tell us about Claflin. What was it like at Claflin?
Classroom was cool. Ultimately when I was in high school, it was crazy trying to do the decision because it was so much going on during that time. Like when I was trying to decide what school I was going to, usually a lot of people bring their parents along, but
Right.
unfortunately, my dad had just lost his uncle, and
Mhm.
my mom was going through everything with my grandmother. My grandmother was passing. Because and the crazy thing is she actually passed a week after we lost to Newberry in the state championship my senior year. And
Wow.
like that whole week going up to the championship, like I was going through that, and like we was going through her illness and stuff, and a lot of people didn't know, and I still had to play that game with that on my mind.
Right.
Literally the next day after we lost, went to the hospital, and then a week later she passed. But
Now,
so
uh,
when I was going on visits and stuff, I was going by myself. Like I remember I went to go to it was a school called Southern Westerland. It's like right down the street from Clemson.
right.
I drove all the way down there by myself, did the visit, and then drove all the way back because my mom had too much going on with my grandmother.
Wow.
And ultimately, like, just looking at everything, I was like, I want to stay close to home. Like,
Wow.
I want my mom to be able to come to my games because ever since
Right.
I was in middle school, every time I played, if I felt nervous or something, I would always look in the crowd and look at her, and I would be back
Right.
at peace. So I wanted her to be at all my college games. So I narrowed it down to Claflin State. Um, my coach, Coach Jack, me and my mom sat down with him. He told my mom, you ain't got to worry about books, you ain't got to worry about meal plan, you got to worry about none of that. And then
Okay.
he ultimately looked at me and he was like, son, I could help you be the best basketball player on the court, but I'll also help you be the best man off the court. And
Hmm.
that's what stuck out to me. He told me what he could do for me and what he can do that'll help me as opposed to me coming and helping them. And that was real big for me. So it was a no-brainer deciding Claflin. Went to Claflin my first year. Kids definitely know what is it? Not the cumulative GPA, but the core GPA, because that's why I was ineligible my first year. My
Hmm.
core GPA wasn't high enough, so I was ineligible my first year. But I redshirted that year. Then the next year was my first year playing. I was the probably like the eighth guy off the bench.
Wow.
And I kept working. I kept coming to practice, staying afterwards, coming early, and God to give you the opportunity. It was one
Yeah.
time where I think two players were unable to come to a game, and we had a 3-game road trip in Tennessee and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And my coach told me you're gonna start. So the
Oh.
first game I started, I think I had 7 points, 7 rebounds. And I asked coach, I said, yo, what do you need for me to do to, help improve? And he was like, you're doing good. You a freshman. Just calm down. Literally the next game I had 20 and 10. And I
Whoa.
and I never sat down on the bench after
Wow.
that. So yeah, so having a great year my first year, like it was so much that happened. Like I was just really just going out there just playing. And like, I ended up getting 82 blocks in the first season. I was top 10 in blocks in the whole nation for the NCAA, like Division 1, Division 2, all divisions. Like I was top 10 in the nation for blocks.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, you gotta go somewhere where you're gonna be able to have production.
Right.
Cause it's like, here it is. I'm at a Division 2 school. You got all these top D1 players, but my name is in the same category as them, top 10. So um it was good, man. Claflin really shaped me. I'll always, cherish my time there. The things I was able to accomplish there. There is no me without Claflin. There's no me without Coach Jack. There's
Right.
no me without Coach T. So, made memories there, made history there. So, we won a
Well,
championship.
I have a little memory of Claflin as well. My cousin Frank, you know Franklin Murray in Utahville?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well that's my cousin. That's who I grew up with, and
Hmm.
he was a mentor of mine, always has been. And he was at Claflin, and he invited me up for the weekend. Okay, I
Mm.
was in the 10th grade at Roberts, and I went up there. And Tyler, Monday morning, I did not want to go back to high school. Tyler,
That's
I mean,
that's what that HBCU would do to you.
yeah, like, I'm a 15-year-old boy, and I'm up there, and I'm saying the girls up there were like giving me rhythm. I'm like, hold up, hold up. So my cousin Frank would tell him, he said, look, he's only 15. They were like, oh, and they would back off. But I had so much fun that weekend. They had the step shows that weekend, and I didn't want to go back to high school that Monday. And he let me come up there once more. I really enjoyed the experience being up there on that campus. It was great. Now, tell me about when you decided that you were going to go overseas.
um I mean, it was destined. Like my last year, I had the opportunity to decide if I wanted to stay at Claflin or I wanted to go somewhere else. And talking to my coaches and stuff, I was like, I'm gonna just finish what I started here. And then
Mhm.
also, I felt like I ain't gonna lie to you, I felt like it was a curse in Orangeburg because like everybody that I knew that went to State or Claflin that left their grad year and went to a different school or a D1 school or something, they got hurt. I said, I don't want that. I don't need
Oh
that. I
wow.
can't have that. And then ultimately I did get hurt the season before when we won the championship. I had a fracture in my foot and I had to get surgery. So I stayed at Claflin at the end of the year. Like, well, actually the year before, I was already getting DMs on Facebook and Instagram
Hmm.
from like agents and coaches and stuff like that. And of course, I'm not supposed to talk to him, so I talked to my coach about it, and he was like, "Just don't respond." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So
Right.
then, of course, after our last game, now I'm looking. I'm like, "Okay, cool. Which one are agents? Which one are agents?" Thankfully, I had some good guys in my corner. John Dre Jefferson. He's from Santee. He went to Lake Marion. He played overseas. He was a big brother to me. I definitely asked him advice and stuff like that. Burden Taylor, who's from Cross, he played overseas. Me and him actually played against each other my first year overseas. Those are two guys, that other than my uncle, they were the ones that I actually was able to visualize and see play overseas. So they made it believable for me. So
Right.
for me to be able to say, okay, cool, I'm about to take that next step, and they opening their arms, giving me advice, all that, that was a blessing for me. So, ultimately I narrowed down, trying to figure out what agent was best for me. I found an agent, signed with an agent June 27th for my mom's birthday. A month later, on my birthday, July 26th, I was signing to play my first professional contract to play in Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And I was excited. I was nervous. I was a little hurt and nervous because my daughter, she was just born that
Hmm.
March of 2019.
Right.
And the fact that I had to leave in August, I'm like, oh my
Whoa.
God.
Whoa.
Like, and then the weekend going into that was crazy because one of my best friends, Jaquan, that I was talking about, he was getting married. And I already had I was supposed to be in the wedding. I planned to be in it, had my suit and stuff.
Oh boy.
And it was in North Carolina. And all I'm asking my agent is like, okay, cool. When do I have to leave? And I remember I left on like, I think like the 20th or the 21st or something. And his wedding was on a Sunday. I was supposed to leave that Monday afternoon. So me, my mom, and we drove to North Carolina to go to the wedding. That Friday, we was in the wedding. That Sunday, had a good time. Literally that next morning, like 4 in the morning, we leave in North Carolina to go back to South Carolina. I got me a nap, made sure my bags and stuff was good, and then I was on a plane going going to the Netherlands. So that whole weekend was crazy, but.
What's
Yeah,
it
that's,
what's,
that's
what's it like up there in the Netherlands?
so the Netherlands was weird because it was like Amsterdam. Well, I don't say weird in a bad way. It's just
Right.
it was different. It was
Right.
different.
Right.
Like, basically stuff that you see on TV, like those big turbine,
Right.
man, I only seen it on TV. Now all of a sudden I land in Amsterdam. Rotterdam is an hour away from the airport. So I'm in this van with some some guy, and I'm in a whole new country and I'm here to play basketball. It was a different experience.
How do
Cause
people treat you?
oh, they treated me real good. Like that's one thing I can say. Like when it comes to basketball, a lot like they love their players. Like I say the fans overseas is probably better than NBA fans. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know about the Knicks right now because the Knicks fans is going stupid, but
Yeah, they are. They are stupid.
but yeah, but other than that, man, I don't know. Like it's like the fans are real good. They treated me real well. A lot of times they'll know exactly who you are because you're a 6'9" Black American in their country. Oh, he plays basketball. Got to. Like, why else
Right.
is he here? So yeah.
What was your next step after Amsterdam?
So after Amsterdam, that's when COVID happened. So,
Mm. Right.
we hightailed it and got home. And ultimately, I didn't want to get the shot and stuff like that. And they weren't allowing people to go back over there and play unless you had the shot.
Right.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, it took me like a year and a half before I was like, all right, cool. If I want to do it, I just gotta bite the bullet. So I ended up
Right.
getting it in like October of 2021. I ended up getting a new agent the next month, and during that time, like I was doing everything. I worked at Hibbett Sports. I had worked at Giant Cement Plant in Holly Hill, and
Wow.
yeah, I was doing everything. Like, cause you gotta think, I had a kid, so at the end of the day, I still had to provide for her. So I had to bite the bullet, and ultimately, that time made me stronger too. It made me realize that, like, opportunities can be taken away, and you have to take advantage of it. So I remember one day I was walking on Giant Cement Plant yard, and it's beaming hot, 100 degrees. And I look up and I'm like, God, I promise you, if you give me another opportunity, I promise you I won't take it for granted. So, ultimately I got a call from this team in Asia that wanted me to play with them for the playoffs. They was the AC. We made it all the way to the championship, but we
Mhm.
lost. We got swept in the championship. But after that, I got my name back out there, put my foot back in the door, because I remember I had one game, I think I had like 26 points and like 17 rebounds, and they kept posting it. It was everywhere. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's all I needed, that game right there. The
You know,
next year I played in Mhm.
right, right,
Yeah, the
right.
next year I played in Greece. Greece was real good because I actually played in the same league that Giannis played in before he
Wow.
got drafted. Yeah. After Greece, I played in Manchester in United Kingdom. That's my favorite place ever because, ultimately that's where I was able to have my mom and my daughter come over. And
Mm.
that was the biggest thing for me. I don't care what you say. You ask me anything. I scored 1,000 points in college. I played 5+ years overseas. Any accomplishment you ask me when it comes to my basketball career, the biggest accomplishment is me being able to put a stamp in my daughter's and my mom's passport and put them on their first international flight. Is hands down, that's the best accomplishment I had. And then my last year I was in Poland, but then I ended up retiring. Well, I actually came home halfway through the season because my mom became ill.
Mm-hmm.
And how that is. Once I heard my mom was sick,
You was
drop
gone.
everything. I
You was
called my
out.
agent. I said, "Hey man,
I'm
something going
out.
on with my mom. I already bought the ticket. You need to tell team owner I'll be back." So
Well, you know what? I've only got a couple of minutes left, but as I'm listening to you talk, Tyler, I can see your family members all in you. I can see Kenneth Bailey in you. I can see Bernard Bailey in you. I can see your mom in you, and I know your dad. I can see him there too.
hmm
Um, Peter Bailey was your grandfather. Okay.
hmm
This was a man that I had a lot of respect for. He worked on the railroad. He passed our house every day on those little railroad things. I
yeah.
mean, he was a great guy. I'm telling you,
hmm
and your great grandfather, Uncle Jake Wright, turns out
hmm
he's my uncle too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
had a store in town, and the only black store in town, and
hmm
he served us well. I'll tell you, there's a lot of history here. There's a lot more to talk about. Even your aunt, she was to this day, she's the tallest woman I've ever seen. Margaret. Do
Oh,
you remember her?
Margaret. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she was at least 6'6", wasn't she? Or
Yeah.
something like
She
that.
is about 6'4". Yeah, for sure.
And then your mom is also tall,
Yeah,
right?
my mom like 6'1". So
Bro,
like it's just that. So like when people be like, "Yo, what was you doing?" I was like, "Shoot, you must be ain't see my family."
you
Like,
ain't seen
I,
the family, bro. Man, I
yeah,
tell you. But Tyler, that's all the time I got. I want to thank you very much for doing this today. I mean, it's a blessing. But it's kind of like it's kind of something that I cannot even believe I'm doing. That's how unbelievable it is to me. But I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful for you. And take care of yourself, and we'll definitely be talking.
I appreciate it, man. Like we was in my uncle Leon yard, and me, you, my uncle Bernard, and my uncle Leon, and my dad, we was shooting, and now here we are. So yeah, man,
That's
it's
pretty
crazy.
awesome. It is, man. Say hello to everybody at Springfield Missionary Church for me tomorrow.
I definitely will.
All right, bro. Later.
All right.
Okay, folks, that's all the time.